All right, guys. Well, welcome to our video tonight. We're doing something a little different, and I'm really excited about what we're doing for you guys tonight. We're in about 2 weeks of our quarantine, and so we were supposed to start our basketball season for our Platinum Elite teams this past weekend, and so now we're just kind of on hold. So I appreciate all the different things you guys have been posting in the group me, and so we'll keep talking as a group. But tonight I've got a special guest on here with me, Coach Eric DeRoo from Abilene Christian, and we've got a Division I college coach on the line with us tonight, which is a big deal. And him and I got to be friends just through the world of summer basketball, and I got to talk to him a little bit at the Under Armour tournaments last summer, and he actually gave me some different advice along the way as far as moving over to the Adidas circuit and things like that. And anyway, he's a good guy. He's actually from East Texas, and so I'm an East Texas guy as well. So we kind of have that in common also. But what I asked Coach to do tonight is just come on and just kind of talk to us as a team and as a club about some different things, some insight he can give us during this quarantine and just in general. As coming from a college coach, and I'm gonna interview him, ask him a few questions, just kind of we're gonna keep it real informal here for you guys. But anyway, first I just wanted Coach to kind of introduce himself, give everybody a little background on who he is and what he's got going on in his career and as far as basketball and all that. So,
Yeah,
Coach, introduce
yeah. Thank you
yourself
so
to
much.
Platinum
Thank you so much
Basketball.
for having me. I'm super excited for what you guys are doing. Like Coach said, like I'm from East Texas, from Tyler originally. I bounced around through my college career and professional career, but East Texas is home. So when I saw that Platinum was a place where Coach Bruce was collecting players and helping them get exposure at any type of higher level, I was stoked for him and all of you guys. To be honest with you, when I was growing up in high school, we had no select ball or AU ball, whatever you want to call it, options for me. So I was driving an hour and a half, hour 45 to Plano multiple times a week just to play any sort of AAU basketball. I wish I could have been a part of an East Texas group, but there just wasn't one at the time, and there definitely wasn't one for the women's side or the girls' side, to my understanding, especially for the Tyler, Greater East Texas area. So what you guys are doing is awesome. For me, I went to Grace Community, so obviously in Tyler. Played 2 years at UT Tyler, played 2 years at McPherson College up in Kansas, a smaller NAI school. From there, I became a GA at Fresno State on the women's side. Became a director of player development there. Just kind of moved up on their staff, and then from there got my job at Abilene Christian as an assistant, and then moved up, at ACU. Now they're our second assistant and do quite a bit more of our recruiting. But I love what I do. I always knew I wanted to be a college basketball coach, and I think that was huge. Like for me, it was like I wanted to stick in it for sure. Like when I got my degree, I never got a teaching cert. Like I literally forced myself. I was like, I'm gonna make it as a Division I basketball coach, like one way or another. But that's just kind of the basis story of me. Like I love Abilene Christian University. I'll be starting now my 5th season. This summer we'll start my 5th year here at Abilene Christian.
And you guys had a great year this year. I mean, we were talking about it before we started the recording, but just tell them real quick a little bit about y'all's year and kind of how it ended and all that.
Yeah, we were 24-5 was our final record. We had one loss in the non-conference, and that was at Oklahoma, and we gave them a pretty good run. We finished 16-4 in conference play in the Southland Conference, which gave us a tie for second with SFA, one game behind first place to Corpus Christi. We thought we had a phenomenal year. It's one of the best years that the Southland has had in a long time, as in conference RPI, where we thought if Corpus, ourselves, or SFA would have won the tournament, we felt like any one of us would have had a really good seed in the NCAA tournament. We thought we had a phenomenal team. We had, I think it was 8 statistical categories that were top 10 in the country in Division I. We were number 3 in the country in field goal percentage. We were top 10 in points per game, 7th in three-pointers made, and three-point percentage at 39%. So obviously a very offensive-minded group here, but we had 2 phenomenal guards that are graduating and 1 post player that really kind of anchored our offense. So next year will be a bit of a rebuild, but we think we have good players coming in that I think we can at least be a top 5 team and 20-plus wins.
So how's the quarantine been going, man? How are you guys hanging out with the family? What have you been doing?
Yeah, like as a coach, we were just finishing our season when we still had games left. Obviously, we thought we were playing the conference tournament. We thought we were still be playing right now, to be honest with you. So it's a little bit different, which is outside of my mind. But the part about being a college basketball coach is we travel a ton with our job, just on the road for games. In the Southland, we're all over Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, and then all over the country in the non-con. But recruiting on top of it, right? So like we play on a Wednesday, I'm probably recruiting on a Tuesday. We play on a Saturday, I'm also probably driving 3 hours north to recruit and go watch a kid on Friday. So I'm gone all the time. So I hadn't seen my daughter, in large bunches of time. My daughter's almost one in, months since the season before the season started. So the best part about quarantine is I'm forced to not be in my office and forced to be at home. And it's
Right.
become the greatest thing of all time. It's been 2 weeks since it started really for us. And I've spent more one-on-one time with my daughter in the last 2 weeks than I have in the last 4 months. So I could not change it. Like I wish I was playing the NCAA tournament right now. But the positive side of it is I get to love my daughter even more. And I think I'll appreciate this time years from now that I don't even know.
That's good. I agree.
Yep.
I've been doing the same thing. I just got through with a 2 hour long golf cart ride all around everywhere with mine. So anyway, it's good stuff. For those of you who don't know, I have a 3-year-old. So Coach and I both have one small one right now.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so what about all y'all's players? I mean, these guys are all basketball players. Most of them finished. Well, I guess all of these girls finished their season because the girls' state tournament just got done. We had several girls that played in the state tournament that are on here. A lot of them played deep into the playoffs. A lot of them had great years. But what are you guys, top-notch college Division I athlete? What are they doing during the quarantine? What are these? Talk about what they can be doing during this time to kind of stay up.
Yep. So obviously awkward time for everyone, right? Like no one really prepares for this. Where like, high level Division I basketball, like you have months prepared out, schedules lined out until the end of your season, till the end of the summer, et cetera. So we're always, prepared for the next step. And we're preparing for the tournament and then going to prepare for our off season with our returning players. And so it's obviously an awkward end and an abrupt end that we were not planning for. To be honest with you, personally and within our program, the first week after our season ended, we hoped our girls didn't touch a basketball. There is so much between, high school basketball, summer AAU basketball, become a college basketball player that is demanded of, these young women, that at some point your body needs a break, your mind needs a break, your emotions need a break, especially the quarantine for us. Like, it was, just talking to our girls the next day, I felt like we were in mourning because of what was an opportunity taken from us. Fortunately for high school girls basketball, the seasons have all ended.
Right.
So there wasn't that abrupt cutoff. Even like on the boys' side, there was a little bit of with the state championship.
Yep.
But for the first week, we hoped our girls didn't touch a basketball. We hoped that they got to enjoy their families and themselves and let their bodies relax and rest and recover, because they're all banged up. We started this in June of last year, right? Between summer workouts, preseason, all the season in between us. This last week, we have obviously a full-time strength coach that works with us when we're all here. He issued them a 4-day-a-week strength and conditioning program. And it's all stuff that our kids can do from home, like, body weight stuff, a lot of yoga, flexibility, just to kind of get the body back going again, and a little bit of cardio because, all of our girls are in good shape, just like your players are probably in great shape right now just because their seasons are ending. They don't want to lose any of the conditioning that they already have, right? Like they just want to maintain. Like they don't need to become elite athletes. At least ours don't, right? Because we don't play again until November.
Right.
So for us, like we still want them to lose anything that they had. We just want them to maintain a status quo of a general fitness. And that'll kind of maintain until we're allowed to either get them back or we get them back for summer, whenever that may be. But obviously, again, it's something that we're all just uncharted waters. I've had some players reach out for basketball workouts. And that's, it's player to player. On our level, because our development's so individualized outside of the team basis. But even that, like, I'm still hesitant at our level because, like, we don't play again until November, and workouts really shouldn't be starting up that much anyway. But obviously it's very different from your group of kids, from ours, just because of the timeline's different.
Right. Yep. Makes sense.
Yep.
So anything else you would say to our girls? So you know what it's like for them, just during this time, and you kind of hit on it, take a break, give yourself a break, enjoy your family, stay in general condition, all that. Anything else you would tell them during this time they could be doing? Or?
Yeah. If I was a high school athlete like myself, like, I
Yep.
couldn't imagine living in this world of, like,
Right.
not being able just to go wherever you wanted, or gym access, whatever. Cause I
Yeah.
was a gym rat beyond. I probably would have snuck into my gym, to be honest with you, at this point. But, like, there's so many hours in the day. Like, as adults, like, our time is taken by other people. Our children's time is not taken at all, right? So, like, your players' time is their own time, which is phenomenal. If you don't have the greatest core, in the next 8 weeks, like abs, core, obliques, etc., like, you're wrong. If you don't have great basketball handles, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a shooter by nature, so I needed a basket to perfect my craft. But man, if we don't see phenomenal handles in July eval period, I'm gonna be so mad. Or kids in decent shape with great core, and I think from what I understand from a strength and conditioning standpoint, the core is one of the best things that you can have, as into injury prevention, and things like that. Also, yoga, phenomenal. Flexibility is a huge deal that we preach on a weekly basis. In our program, we go through yoga workouts at least once a week when it's on the road, for sure. We usually, like, in conference play, it's mandatory once a week that we do a yoga session. I would tell your girls to do it twice a week at minimum.
Love it.
Flexibility is key. Your body's already in so much strain, and then AAU ball puts you on concrete floors and tile and
Yeah.
whatever. Like you just want to be as preventative as you can, but at this time, like, you can be as proactive as you want to be in your own conditioning, ab workouts, core workouts, yoga, just to kind of better yourself, outside of the basketball court.
It's perfect. It's
Yep.
good. That's great. So, what about recruiting? So, these girls, kind of what we're doing with our program this year is we really separated out our we call it our Adidas Elite teams, which is the kids that are going to play on the circuit. It's really 4 teams. There's 37 girls. That's who this video will go to. And then we also have club teams. Girls can try out, or boys, or whatever, and that's kind of separate. But all these girls, kind of what we tried to decide who makes the elite teams and who doesn't is really just a line of girls that can be playing college basketball, and that doesn't mean they're all Division One, but just college basketball. And maybe they won't all play college basketball, but at least we feel like they have a shot, and some of them we have a great shot. But a lot of times I get questions from parents and young ladies both about how do I get recruited? What do I do? So just for a person that doesn't know anything, tell them kind of what they need to be doing for that.
Yep. So obviously it differs by age bracket.
Yes.
It almost differs by position too, to an extent, because it's a little bit easier to get recruited as a post player than it is a point guard, just because of the numbers, right? Like, there's not as many 6 foot posts walking around as there are 5'5" guards.
Sure.
So we'll talk about more by age group than by position, really. The 21 class, obviously very important summer. Like, I apologize, even though it's not under my control, that April is likely going to be taken out. Obviously that's not a for sure thing yet, but, like, it's just the way that the world's kind of trending, right?
Yeah.
But very important summer for 21s. The evals, if we, like, for us, like, at the Division One level, we have a pretty core list of our 21s, that we've been recruiting since September of last year, right? Like, we like actively communicating with, offers on the table to over half of them. We have one commitment already. So the 21s is kind of full fledged, but it doesn't mean it's over, right? Like, there's players that are found late, that become all conference kids for us. Like, one of our best players, we didn't find till September going into their senior year. And she's one of our, she's phenomenal for us. She'll be a starter for us next year. So it's not over if you're not already getting recruited as a 21. It just means that this summer is that much more important. And I apologize that, some of the evals might be taken, but it just means you have to be proactive in other areas, right? We'll talk about highlight videos here in a second. But obviously, like, you're part of a team, especially with the Platinum Group. You're part of a team. I think winning is as important as in the AU circuit as it is in the state tournament, right? Like whenever you go to classics or tournaments, like the winners continue to advance, and we watch teams that are winners, right? Like so, like being a collective group helps in the long run. But obviously, being individually good is part of it, and having good individual pieces. June comes elite camps. I'm crossing my fingers for every recruit and for us that elite camps still happen. The way that we're operating is we have instead of registration being open because we don't want to have to give a bunch of refunds out, we have like a wait list so you can register without paying. I think a lot of colleges are trending that route where you can, pretty much sign up without cost. And then if it doesn't turn out, then no one's at a loss and we're not having to refund money, et cetera. But I think elite camps are almost as important as eval tournaments.
Yep.
And it's a two-way street, right? So, elite camps, you get to come to our campus, you get to get coached by us. You get to see our players, all of our players work our elite camps. So you get to see what our players are like, feel them, touch them, talk to them, have conversations that we're not, always pushing, what they can say because we're not always around, each and every player. So you get to recruit us just as much as we get to recruit you in that setting. You get to see our facilities and all that. So I think elite camps are huge, especially if you really think that, ACU is your spot or ETBU or UT Tyler, whatever it may be. Like, I think elite camps are by far and away phenomenal. I'm not going to try to knock Power Fives as much as I want to, but I have worked Power Five elite camps. I have been to them myself when I was younger. And, those coaches don't do a whole lot, right? They have masses of players and high school coaches, AU coaches. They have a bunch of people working that aren't actually on staff, right?
Yep.
And so it's a little bit of a financial gain for them more than it is a recruiting opportunity. For us, we offer kids every year at our elite camp.
Wow.
I've been here, this is my 5th year. But I've been through 4 elite camps and at minimum 4 offers every elite camp. And that's, every class down. But, obviously we have invites that we send out to, but there's kids that show up all the time that are phenomenal basketball players that we begin to recruit because they came and showed interest in us. And I think that has value too, is, we compete with, different Division I programs, C2 programs for specific dates because we can only have camps, pretty much in June and August are really the dates that we host them. So we're competing with North Texas, UTA, you name it, other Division Is for that Saturday in June. And so you choosing my camp over their camp, I see that you actually have interest in me, right? And that kind of already draws a line in players that we may or may not recruit because if you like North Texas more than you like us and we have the same date, you also have to make a choice. For players that aren't as recruited as a Division I player is, I think the value in going to an ETBU elite camp, a UT Tyler elite camp, are huge. If I had a daughter, they would go to every level of elite camp in June. That would be my entire June would be going to different levels and seeing what those coaches think of me as a player. Because if you just go to 7 Division I elite camps and you never get recruited by Division I schools because that's what you thought you were, then you missed out on opportunities to get to meet some phenomenal coaches and see some amazing facilities and get to feel out different things. I'm a huge advocate of elite camp. Obviously, we don't profit off our elite camp. We give more than we take in. It's just for us to get to know you guys and players more, if that makes sense.
Love it. Yeah. And so this year, for those of you who don't know, we don't have any tournaments or anything. I've learned what I'm doing a little bit more every year. So I had Eric and several other coaches basically teach me that we don't need to be playing tournaments during June. There's no open periods in June anyway. So your schedule in June is wide open as far as we're concerned. So that's why it's like that. If you're looking at it and you're like, why don't we have anything in that month? Well, that's because it gives you that opportunity. So that's it. You heard it from Coach. That's good. It's great. And so how do they find out about those? Just so if I'm a young girl and any age should go to them, even freshmen. So these are going to be 23s, 22s, and 21s on here. They should all be going to them?
Yeah, absolutely. Even probably 24, to be honest with
you.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever age you have. Yeah, obviously every ACU, WBBcamps.com would be ours, but I'm sure every Division One has some type of camp website that they
Just
can
look them
find
up,
different
right?
dates, etc. I would imagine in the next month and a half, people will start pushing their camp stuff on social media.
Yeah,
As that, it's gonna be harder for all these coaches to push stuff during the situation that we're in
yeah,
worldwide, because we don't want to be asking for money and getting kids ready for camp when we don't even know if we're going to have it or not. But usually the trend would be April and May eval would be open, and we would be sending camp invites out, right? So we'd be building our list out. And the one thing that we're allowed to do with 22s, 23s, 24s, all the way down, is we can send camp invites. That's pretty much the only thing that NCAA coaches are allowed to do at our level for players that are younger than 21s right now. So that's one situation where your players will probably not get the advantage of like knowing how many schools want them to attend their elite camp. But that's kind of the world we're living. So everyone's kind of playing the
right,
fair game, right?
right.
But usually in April and May, we would be sending out invites to the players that we think could potentially have a shot at Division One or at our level or at ACU. And every other level does. Like Hardin Simmons here, ETBU would be sending out their invites to their prospect day elite camps after April and May. I would imagine we still do it, but it's just based off the list that we already have, right? Like, it's gonna be hard to add 23s that we don't see. But definitely, online websites would be the easiest.
Perfect. Makes sense.
Yep.
So what about so shifting gears, other than going to elite camps, playing for platinum, other than that, I've been encouraging them to make highlight videos. I mean, they hadn't had anything else to do, so I said, hey, go make yourself a highlight video, and most of them have done that and been posting them. They've done some really good ones. But other than that, should they be making those? Do they send those out? What do you recommend with that?
Yep. So I'm a huge advocate of highlight videos being
Perfect.
done the right way. So I think I posted on Twitter the other day about how I receive them and how I watch them the most. Because that's what you want, right? You want coaches to watch them and eval you to an extent, right? And kind of see, what you have to offer. The highlight videos that are the best to me are, you better have your 5 best clips at the front, or I'm
Right.
not watching till the end, right? If your 5 best clips are good, I'll probably watch for the next minute. And then if yours continue to be good, I'll watch to the end. And then I'll send it to my head coach and we'll be like, this kid's good. So obviously, some of these different highlight videos have 3-point shots and then, finishes at the rim, and they go down the list, and which is great. But if your 5 best clips are not at the front, you're going to hurt yourself more than anything. The second piece to, and probably the most important, is how you deliver your highlight video. To me, email is great. Like, if you can find my email on a website. So obviously I get bombarded with highlight videos every day from players at all levels in every age group of their highlight videos. So email is fine. I don't open every email that I get, right? I promise you, though, that I'll open every Twitter DM that I get and every Instagram DM that I get. And it's a little bit different, right? But I'm probably different than my head coach.
Right.
My head coach probably opens her emails sometimes. Her email is a little bit different. But there's some assistant coaches that are 40, 50 years old that probably aren't as savvy with Twitter and IG as I am, in the younger crowd. But I promise you, every player that has DM'd me their highlight video on Twitter or Instagram, I've watched, straight up. I will probably say I've opened and watched 10% of the ones I gotten via email. And that's just straight up. And I appreciate people that are trying to be professional and hitting my email up.
Right.
But as as a professional, just in your own field, when your inbox starts to get full, you just start clicking and deleting.
Yep.
I don't do that as much with my Twitter and IG. The third piece to sending and us actually receiving your highlight video is not doing a mass email. We get those a lot. And people, players feel good, parents feel good because it gets out to the masses quicker. I think efficiency in building a relationship is key. I opened an email yesterday from a player from the Oklahoma City area, and I watched her entire video all the way through. And it's because she followed what I put on Twitter to the T. I need a quick snippet of who you are. And to be honest with you, it doesn't have to be in a paragraph, and it probably shouldn't. Like, I'm cool with bullet points. Your name, what year you are, 21. So like Eric DeRoo, 2021, 5'11", shooting guard from Tyler, Texas. I don't need your GPA or SAT scores, but D3s and D2s do, because they need to figure out how much money they can potentially give you, et cetera. I don't need it, but those schools might. And honestly, if you bullet pointed those things, and then at the front just say, hey, Coach DeRoo, congrats on a great season. I saw that y'all really competed well in the Southland Conference. Here's my highlight video. And then obviously have the bullet points so I can just see quickly who you are. I definitely need height, year, where you're from, your AAU program, and those things, like those essential things. If it's not essential, don't put it in there. And then, like, if you're 21, I need your contact and your AAU coach's contact. If you're at 22 or below, I see your contact, obviously, coach. And then it needs to be a huddle or YouTube film. And to be honest with you, I was explaining to a high school coach this a few days ago. YouTube's better than huddle for me. It's not universal. I still watch huddle clips. I've watched probably 5 today. But YouTube's better than huddle for a user-friendly situation. So I'm on my phone all the time. I'm not always on my laptop. Huddle works phenomenal for laptop purposes. Easy to click, easy to get on, easy to provide. For phones, it's a 30-second ad before I watch it. It's not always easy to get to full screen. I'm already annoyed that I can't get to full screen. Then I have to watch this 30-second ad just to get to your video. Where YouTube, I can click out of the ad in 5 seconds and I can get to the full screen in no time. So I appreciate YouTube better. I'm not sure I'm the only one that thinks this, but maybe I am. But definitely huddle or YouTube. If it's anything else right now, I definitely haven't watched it. And if you want me to, I can hit on recruiting services now. If you
please, that'd be great.
So to your players, Coach Bruce and I had talked before this started about recruiting services. I've coached at Division I level to some extent for 7 years. This is my 5th year being ACU, and we have never signed a player using a recruiting service. And I say this in all honesty, I get paid what I get paid to go find players. And like, it's the vast majority of my job is to evaluate, go find players. And I don't need a service to do that. We pay a ton of money to go watch you guys play and decide our own eval. So I'm not going to go pay recruiting.com or NRS to go do it for me. And I say that because they might do a good job and they might sell you guys a good product, but the product isn't getting to us efficiently in the way that we like to see it. And to be honest with you, when I see I'll blast them, like an NSR or whatever, NRS, whatever one it is, email come to me, I automatically delete it. Collegepromoters.com or whatever, automatic delete it. Because they're sending me just a blanket of players and wanting me to click just so they feel good. The people that I go watch and evaluate are when people like Coach Bruce call me and say, this player's good enough. We offered a kid 2 weeks ago that I had 2 high school coaches call me and say, this kid's phenomenal, from the middle of nowhere, West Texas. And I drove and went and saw her play, and she was phenomenal. And that's based off my relationship, not just some random person throwing, a name in the hat for me. I think your money is much more well spent going to elite camps or another tournament for you guys, whatever, just to get seen, not by a recruiting platform. Because honestly, like, some of the things that I see from the recruiting platform is so general and they want you to click to get to the next site, where like I can't even figure out what state you're from half the time with what they're sending me, let alone you might be good for me. So I think recruiting services are a no-go. I answer more emails than anybody in the country, and I could probably help you recruiting more than most people. So yeah, there's my answer to recruiting services.
Right. So you feel like, especially for parents, if they're trying to decide whether they're going to invest their money in those, you would say you're wasting your money, honestly.
I would say hard pass.
Yeah.
I would say hard pass. I would say the money that you're investing in Platinum basketball and Coach Bruce and his staff that's the value you're paying for, right? Yeah. Is like, for you to be able to get me on Zoom right now is you're paying me $0, right? It's because we have a relationship. And if you call me and say, hey, can you come watch this kid play? hey, give me an eval, I'll come watch that kid play and give you an eval. And I do it for coaches all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it might not even be a Division I level kid. It could be, I think she can play at ETBU. And I have a really good relationship with Rusty Rainbow ETBU, just like you do. But like, you know, you name the school in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, I can make a call quicker than any of these recruiting services can. And for me, with you guys, with Platinum in general, I want to help you guys more than anybody, right? Like, I'm an East Texas guy that had to fight to make it, just like you guys are. Like, it's so much easier to get recruited from Dallas, Fort Worth, or Oklahoma City than it is from Tyler, Texas, or Abilene, Texas.
Right.
So I'm here as an advocate for you guys. So if Coach Bruce asked me for an eval, I'll give you guys an eval.
Coach, we do have some Abilene area girls this year, so
I'm aware and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. Well, we're excited, man. We're chomping at the bit. We've got 37 girls, and I think 22 are new to our program. So I guess 15 are returners, and so those are the best we got returning.
Yep.
And I'm just telling you, I'm so pumped up about all our girls from all the teams. I mean, it's just I'm watching all these highlight films, and I went and watched them play a lot this year. I saw almost all 37 play high school, and I'm just fired up. I know you see a lot of clubs, but you're going to see great things from these guys this summer and in the future. They've got one of the cool things about them too is just because I dealt a lot with their parents, and I'm talking about we've got a bunch of awesome just people involved, not only the parents, the young ladies, our other coaches. It's just all coming together. And now we just need to be able to start. You know what I'm saying? So,
hey, I'm chomping at the bits too, just to see you guys and just to get back out in a basketball setting. It's tough sitting at the house all day. I'm just like all you guys. I have a couple other things that unless you have more questions, but I have a couple more things that I just kind of wrote down before we got going. Obviously, you have 37 young ladies that are phenomenal high school basketball players, potentially want to play college basketball. When I look for players in recruiting, if that's a fair question for myself,
absolutely, yes,
it's easy. I guess I won't say easy. Things that I look for outside of basketball stuff is you actually love playing basketball, and like it's such a cliche saying, but I promise you, we have 6 players that are signed to play here next year. We'll probably sign one more. 5 of the 6, I tell you right now, love the game of basketball and would do anything for it. The 6th is a really good basketball player, and she's going to be really good for us. But I'm not sold. She loves it. But that's okay too. But I promise you, I enjoy coaching players that love basketball more than players that just play basketball because it's what they do, right? But you know, it's the connection is when they get here. So it's kind of easy to see it when you're recruiting. You have to watch the kid play a couple times. But once they get to me, it's black and white. And I say that because at the high school level, you're fighting for something. You're fighting for my scholarship. You're fighting for a spot on my roster, or whoever's roster it may be. And once you get there on the women's side, what's next, right? You know, we have players. We have 3 players that can play professionally today. Like, no doubt. Like, have agents calling us weekly to see if they want to play. None of them do. They just want to be adults and move on from basketball. But on the men's side, you know, we have 4 guys going to play professionally, you know, next week whenever this stuff's over. So, like, you know, the women's side and the men's side is different. So on the women's side, it's, you know, once you get to us, what's your intrinsic motivation, right? Like, is it to be the best player you can be just because? Or is it you check the box of being a Division I basketball player and then you're just there? The players that are really good and become all conference and help you win conference championships are the players that actually love the game of basketball in their heart and could care less if it's D3, D2, D1, scholarship, full ride, no ride, whatever. And then, so that's non-basketball skill level stuff. From a basketball skill set position, every school is different. So in recruiting, like when you see ACU, SFA, Corpus Christi sitting next to each other, we could be all sitting on a court full of 10 Division I basketball players and all recruiting different ones. And it's wild, right?
Yeah.
And even if there's 2, like, you know, us 3 are sitting there and there's 2 Division I basketball players sitting there, we could be deciding which one we want and which one we don't want like that. And it's sometimes based on body type. And, you know, in the women's sports world, we shouldn't talk about body type as much as we probably do. But I'm talking about like height and size and length of arms. And, you know, it's the most unfortunate thing, right? Because, you know, if you're 5'2", it's hard to get recruited. If you're 6 foot, it's easy to be recruited. And that 5'2" player might be significantly more skilled than the 6 footer. But that's just the reality of the world that we live in.
Right.
But going back to like skill sets, so like SFA loves big guards that can post up. We appreciate a guard that can post up, but we like big, long guards that can shoot it and like for real shoot it, like hit every wide open shot that you shoot. Where Corpus doesn't care if you can shoot the basketball. They care if you can defend in any way that they want to defend and get to the rim whenever they want, from a guard standpoint. From a post standpoint, they're both trying to get as long and as tall as possible, and we're trying to get extremely skilled, like great footwork, great hands, catch everything. It can guard every position. So every school has a different system, offense, defense, etc., that their head coach to a degree wants. Do we get every kid perfect cookie cutter for each position? No. And that's where, you know, where we have to adapt and be coaches. But every school that you look at is actually looking for someone significantly different when they walk around each court. It's tougher in women's basketball than it is in men's basketball, because in men's, like, it's once you're at the Division I level, you're recruiting nationally. Like if you look at our men's team, it is national and a little bit of international for them. And they just find the best players that they can find that they can get. Women's basketball is very regional. If you look at every roster, Division I roster in Texas, the vast majority are within touching states players. You know, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas, maybe a little bit in Mexico, but not even that much. So you have to know as a player getting recruited that unless you're super high IQ and, you know, the Ivies and the East Coast teams are calling, you're probably going to land within your region. So you better know every school within your region, whether it be D1, D2, D3, like everyone on the baseline, you better figure out what school they represent, because like that's probably within your region who's looking at you. If you're playing for you guys, Adidas, if you're playing Team Wisconsin and they're Milwaukee's sitting up there and Green Bay's sitting there and Illinois sitting there, even if your players have the greatest game of all time, there's like less than 1% chance that Milwaukee's calling you. And it's because of the way we look at it. Like, when will they see you again? When will they be able to come see you play in a high school game or a high school practice? Like, it becomes a financial investment where they're willing, and like, how much are they actually going to get you? Where like, for me, like, you know, if you look at my roster right now, you circle 6 hours outside of Abilene, that's our roster. Like, that's where we recruit. Even like, we signed a kid from Kansas this year. She's only 5 hours away because she is the furthest south city of Kansas that we could find. I will say we signed a kid from New York. That was just a wild story in itself. So she'll be an outlier on our roster next year. But everybody else touches within 6 to 6.5 hours of Abilene. And it's because we can drive and see them play. And I would say the vast majority of teams in Texas, especially when you get to D2, D3, NAIAs, their recruiting budgets, they have to stay within a regional. So make sure all your players know that per school, don't be like, if your dream was to play at ACU and you only shoot mid-range jumpers, I can't take you, because we shoot threes, layups, and free throws. That's it. That's why we're 3 in the country in field goal percentage. Or if you were at, I don't know, I can't even say multiple schools, but every school has something that they're looking for different. And then the last thing on top of that is every school by year has a different scholarship number, right? So like you know, on the women's basketball, we get 15 scholarships. ACU, in the 7 years we've been Division I, have only used 15 scholarships one time. We don't like big rosters. Some schools mandate big rosters, some don't. We don't. We only had 12 on our roster this year. We'll probably have 13 next year, maybe 14 max. So when you see schools sitting there recruiting and trying to figure out why they haven't offered X player, it could be 2 reasons. Even if they're Division I talent, it could be their roster already has 3 point guards and she's a point guard and they can't take a fourth, or they only have 2 scholarships and they're trying to find the best 2 basketball players they can find. I can't say names, but I can say, like, we're looking at to fill 4 scholarships in the 21 class, and we have an athletic post player already committed. So we're for the most part done with 5s. Like, we can't get a post player anymore. We can get a stretch 4, but we can't take a 5. And
Right.
so, like, some coaches could be mad at us that we're not looking at their post player. Well, I can't because I already got one. So I think that limits us too in regards to recruiting. So sometimes parents are flustered that we're not looking at their 5'5", 5'8" daughter who's a point guard. Well, if you look at my roster right now, I have 3 on my roster, and I probably can't take another one.
Right.
But there's that piece of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, those are all the basic things I get. The last kind of insight that I talk about a lot with AAU coaches, whatever, are any interest is good interest, and any offer is a good offer, and every offer you should entertain to some degree. And I say this because it's actively happening in one of our recruitments now. Is a player was bringing in a ridiculous amount of D2 offers, like upwards of 10 D2 offers, and no Division I offers. And at some point, like, the cup tilts where if she's got 10 D2 offers, she's probably good enough to play mid-major Division I basketball. Right. And that's what happened. Like, literally within the same week, us and another Division I offered that kid, because at some point those 10 D2s think they're getting someone really special.
Yeah.
So, like, that could say, but the same thing could happen if you get 5 D3s that absolutely love you. That means you could probably play for any number of D2 schools at the right fit. So, like, collecting offers, as long as they're, like, with good intent, is a good thing if you're really looking to get to the next step up. Not that collecting offers is the best thing in the world. Like, if you get one and that's the school, you should go. Like, we live with that too. Like, if you absolutely love ACU and we're the only Division I offer you have, and you love us, we'll take your commitment today. So there's kind of a fine line between it. But if a D3 calls and you think you're a Division I basketball player, take the call.
Absolutely.
Take the call, entertain it, because you never know what's going to happen down the road.
That's good.
You got any other questions for me? I'm kind of on a roll. I feel like I can answer more.
I love it.
Whatever.
Not really. I mean, I'm trying to think. I think that's just, I mean, I think a lot of girls don't know how good they are. They want to think because they have somebody in their hometown that tells them you're good enough for D1 maybe, when the reality is they're nowhere close to that. The D3 is probably their biggest, or D2 at the most. And like I said, a lot of my girls this year are new to me, so I'm not even going to say where I think that they fall in there, but I do think a lot of people come into it with, like, these inflated expectations, and I don't ever want to be the guy to, like, shoot their dreams away and tell them, hey, you'll never make it at Baylor, you'll never make it at UConn. That's never going to probably come out of my mouth, because I'm not that guy. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a question, but you kind of talked about it. But just, they got to have expectations that make sense. And then there's
I know where you're going with it. I think the market tells itself. We joke on our side of it that you are what the offers you have, right? So the kid that had 10 D2 offers was going to be a really good D2 basketball player, and then she has 2 mid-major offers, and so she can be a mid-major player. Like, you are what the offers you have. So if you're 21 right now and you have no offers, you are what you are. Like, this summer will kind of push you one way or another and kind of show you the level. But, like, we're trying to be as good as we can. Just like ETBU and Hardin-Simmons and McMurray are trying to be the best D3s that they can. They're not just going to not recruit, right? They're not going to go try to sign the best players possible. So I think the market tells you how good you actually are. I think, where people kind of get misled is, maybe a kid with 2 D2 offers picks up, a random D1 offer. Maybe they're D1, maybe not. But I think at the end of the day, the market will tell you what kind of fit you are, what school you should probably attend from a basketball standpoint, and what level. And I think it's the best advice for parents too, right? Like, if no one's reaching out to your player at the level that you thought they were, it's okay, right? Like we're not wrong with our jobs, because we're trying to do the best thing that we're trying to do for our program. The last thing I say is on that topic is any piece of letter like mail is a good thing, because that means you attracted the eye of somebody. It doesn't mean it's the golden ticket, because we send a ton of mail out to players that will never play college basketball, let alone Division I basketball. But you were good enough in that moment for me to be like, yeah, let's see where you go from here. And then it could be completely not under your own player's control that she gets cut from our list. It could be we have players that are better on the list. We signed a player that's X position, et cetera. But I think parents, it's hard for parents to kind of eat that information because they only want the best for their child.
Right.
I'm already living it with my 1-year-old. So I can only imagine what it's like for a 15 through 18-year-old and their parents' expectations. But I think the market tells you what level you are. And it is told through a story of the summer. As long as you're on a good team and any Adidas circuit team, you'll get seen by every team in Texas. The market will tell you.
Perfect.
Yep.
Go to the team, go to the elite camps, play in the Adidas circuit, and then you're going to find out where you're at. Basically,
Yep. Everyone follows the Adidas circuit. All of us do. We'll see. Like as long as Super 64 happen, you'll be seen by everybody.
For sure. Yep.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Well, I love it. I think it's awesome. I'm excited that you did this. I just want to say that Coach DeRoo has been nothing but a help to me. And I know there's a lot of schools out there, but these guys they invited me to their practice when I ran into them at a game. They was very impressed with their practice. Coach Goodenough, super nice. Seems to be awesome. I know her as well.
Yep.
She's great. So, anyway, just appreciate you. I mean, all of us do. I know all the parents and all the girls that are watching this really appreciate you doing this. And, he's got other things to do. I just called him up and asked him if he could do it, and he was 100% willing to jump on and do this for us. And that says a lot. I mean, it really does. So appreciate you. I could tell stories about coaches that I've tried to interact with that they're too cool for me or for our club. So,
never, man. Never. And I wish you guys the best of luck. Obviously the best of health right now, right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, like I hope to get to see you guys as soon as possible in a basketball setting. That you guys get to kind of show off your skills and what you can do with your program. And I'm excited for your program as it continues to evolve into what it is and kind of get to see it grow. But whatever I can do to help, I hope to see some of your players shoot me a DM on Twitter, IG with their highlight videos. And obviously I got plenty of time. Like usually you can send it whenever, but my mornings are relatively free. My evenings are free that I can just kind of chill on my phone for a little bit with my wife not being too mad at me. But I would love to see any of the players that you have film just to see what's going to be out there. My last point on that, as I'm starting to think more and more of thoughts, is it's okay to send your films more than once. Don't expect a reply. I reply to 2% of what I see. One, because of NCAA rules that I can only respond to X players at a certain age or older. But even those players, like sometimes I watch just to kind of get an idea of who they are. And if I see your name again, that's a good thing. So if you send your film tomorrow and then you remind me who you are and send it again before the May eval, perfect. And then before July eval, perfect. I might not watch it every time, but I see your name 3 times, especially if it's through Twitter DM, I see your name. That means when I go see you guys play, I absolutely know who you are. And even if you're not good enough for me at the Division I level or just my fit, I promise you I'll call Kendra Haskell down the street at Hardin Simmons or Rusty Rambo at ETBU or UT Tyler, who's going to D2 program, who has scholarships now, which is phenomenal. And I can call all of them tomorrow and help with players and names, right? Because, UT Tyler and Hardin Simmons are shorthanded staff-wise compared to what we are. So we have 4 full-time staffers where Hardin Simmons has 2. And UT Tyler has 2. So they're fighting. They can only see so many kids at one time where, I can make a phone call and they'll go watch you play. So I seem to see your names a ton.
No, that's big. That's perfect.
Yep.
I appreciate that. So there you go. Well, I'll post your Twitter and your IG handle for all the girls that are going, how do I get it? I'll post it in the group me. I'll get it and send it to you guys so y'all can follow Coach. So
cool.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you jumping on. I'm gonna go ahead and end the recording and Thanks again. And thanks from all the girls. I know they're all watching this and they really, really appreciate this. They're sitting at home. They want to know what to do. So anyway, just one last time, thanks again. Let me stop the recording.